Hey, what's up? People pizowell here, and today I want to talk to you guys about 1984's Don't Open Till Christmas. Now, I first reviewed Don't Open Till Christmas about 4 years ago, and ever since then, it has become a movie that I watch every holiday season. So just recently, I went back to the collection, to the place where Don't Open Till Christmas usually resides, and the DVD was gone. I have no idea what happened to it. It's completely missing in action. And because I couldn't let this holiday season go by without watching Don't Open Till Christmas, I rebought the DVD. So I figured if I rebought the DVD, let's re-review the movie. And to say that Don't Open Till Christmas had a colorful production would be an understatement. The film is produced by B-movie legend Dick Randall and Steve Manassian, who just before Don't Open Till Christmas had a sizable hit on their hands with Pieces. And if you're familiar with my channel, you know I love Pieces. So the two of them decided to join forces again and produce a holiday horror film. They asked Edmund Purdom, who was the star of Pieces, if he would like to star in this film, and Mr. Purdom said absolutely, but with one caveat: I also want to direct the film. However, Mr. Purdom did not last long. He was either fired or walked off the set about halfway through production. The writer of the film was brought on to fill in as the director. He lasted only a number of days. Apparently, he liked to hit the sauce a little too much. Production was then put on hold. A new director was brought in who had to rewrite a good deal of the movie, and 2 years later, Don't Open Till Christmas was finally released. And the cumulative effect of all these production problems resulted in Don't Open Till Christmas being an unmitigated disaster. And the plot of Don't Open Till Christmas revolves around a sadistic killer stalking the streets of London, picking off people dressed as Old Saint Nick. And now it's up to new Scotland Yard detectives led by Edmund Purdom's character and his partner, Detective Sergeant Powell, to track down this Santa Claus killing maniac. And even if you had no prior knowledge of this movie's rocky production history, it wouldn't take you very long into Don't Open Till Christmas before you realized that there were a lot of cooks in the kitchen on this film. Now, the first half of Don't Open Till Christmas is your pretty standard run-of-the-mill slasher movie with some rather amusing kills along the way. One in particular involves a Santa roasting chestnuts on the street. The killer comes up behind him, chokes him, then forces his face down onto the grill, burning his face horribly. Then the killer tosses Santa on top of the grill, and Santa bursts into flames. The movie has this very down and dirty, grimy grindhouse look and feel to it. You can definitely tell that Edmund Purdom didn't have a whole lot of experience as a director, because the shots that he sets up are just very kind of amateurish. You get like a lot of master shots with no coverage, and they just look kind of awkward. And clearly, at least in my opinion, Edmund Purdom's character was intended to be the killer in this movie. Now, the killer wears a mask, but you can tell that it's Edmund Purdom behind the mask. At one point, the killer's got a tuft of gray hair sticking out under his hood, and Edmund Purdom's character in the film has a tuft of gray hair in the exact same spot. So it doesn't take Sherlock Holmes to figure out that Edmund Purdom was intended to be the killer in this film. So when Edmund Purdom either walked from this movie or was fired from this movie, a lot had to change. And at this point in the film, when the new director took over, the production quality goes up, but the storytelling goes way down. The plotting goes out the window. The pacing screeches to a halt. The story focuses on Detective Sergeant Powell and this character named Giles, who's just kind of popped up out of nowhere, and he seems to know way more about this case than he should. We get a bunch of random Santa killings thrown at us, one involving a Santa who gets castrated in the bathroom while taking a leak. Another Santa who gets chased through, it's a museum in London. I forget what it's called. Lots of displays of people being tortured. Let me know if you know what it is down in the comment section. But it's a fairly decent stalk and slash sequence. And then there's a sequence that's just absolute filler in which our killer is stalking a Santa Claus backstage at some kind of, I guess it's supposed to be some kind of girly show. But then there's this whole performance from the actress Caroline Munro while all this is going on. And the entire point of this sequence is clearly A, to pad out the runtime, and B, to promote Caroline Munro's music career. And this has to be one of the most shoddily edited films I've ever seen. It's as if they edited this movie with a meat cleaver. Don't Open Till Christmas has some of the harshest transitions from scene to scene that I've ever seen. And how they edit the music from scene to scene, they don't even like fade the music out before a sequence transitions. It just ends abruptly, and it's just so jarring. And we kind of lose all sense of time and place in this movie because of how harshly the film is edited, and because there's really no plot at this point in the movie. And Don't Open Till Christmas just kind of turns into a gonzo Santa slasher. Lead characters disappear for half the movie and then pop back up at the end. Characters who you think are going to be the survivors are killed off because, well, they have to be killed off because the script had to be completely rewritten and a lot of the movie had to be recast. The dialogue is bad. The acting, for the most part, is okay. There's absolutely no character development beyond really the two main characters. And one of those characters is just this horrible boyfriend who this woman's father has been murdered, and all he cares about is the insurance money. And literally days after this woman's father has been murdered right in front of her eyes, he's taking her to his buddy's studio where he's doing a nude photo shoot, and he's trying to talk this poor woman who just watched her father be murdered right in front of her days before to participate in some sort of girl-on-girl photo shoot. And this is a character who, in any other movie, would be a victim of the killer. This is a guy who, in any other movie, you would want to be the victim of the killer, and instead, he just disappears. At a certain point in the film, he disappears, and we never see him again. The last 15, maybe 20 minutes of this movie is so sloppy and such an abrupt shift from the rest of the film. The killer goes from a maniac who's knocking off people dressed as Santa Claus to now he's kidnapped this peep show girl and is holding her in some undisclosed underground location, I guess like a basement or something. And he's like ridiculing her because she's a peep show girl and will, show her tatas for money. And how did we go from a guy killing Santas to now he's kidnapping this girl and ridiculing her for being a peep show girl? And how the killer is eventually dispatched is one of the most ridiculous moments I've ever seen on film, and that is saying something. It's as if they gave the guy they brought in to write and direct this new material, Al McGuhan or something to that effect, although I would not be shocked if that's a pseudonym, was given like an hour to prepare, like an hour to write this new stuff and like a day and a half to direct it. And I wouldn't even be surprised if he hadn't seen the footage that was already shot for the movie, because it feels like two movies that just collide together. It's a complete and utter train wreck. Now, I know I've made Don't Open Till Christmas sound like a really, really bad movie, and it is, but it's a really, really bad movie that I find highly enjoyable. There's something about that early 80s down and dirty grindhouse look and feel that I definitely dig about this film. And I also like the locations. I enjoy seeing the streets of London in a slasher film. And the one thing that Edmund Purdom did right with what little he directed of Don't Open Till Christmas is he nailed the sleaze factor. This movie's got some pretty nice sleazy moments in it. And there are some unintentionally funny moments in this film. The opening kill of Don't Open Till Christmas involves a Santa at a party, and he gets a spear thrown through the back of his head and out of his mouth. He is surrounded by people, including his own daughter, and the reactions of the partygoers are just like, huh, whoa, I didn't see that coming. Even his own daughter is just like, is this real? What? Now, I know that Brits are a stoic bunch, but if you just witnessed a guy get a spear driven through the back of his head and out of his mouth, I'd think you'd have something of a reaction. Nope, they just kind of stand there holding their drinks. Some of them have their mouths open in quiet shock. Some of them are just, the party must go on. And I have to admit, I do find the boyfriend character kind of amusing in just how cavalier he is about his girlfriend's father's death and how he's more concerned with her calling the lawyer to collect the insurance money and accompanying him to the bar instead of mourning for her father, even though it's only been a couple of days since she watched him be murdered right before her eyes. He even at one point says, "You've got to get back into the world." And that world for him includes her standing on a street corner holding a hat while he's playing the flute, and her accompanying him to his buddy's flat so that she can participate in a girl photo shoot for a few bucks. If that isn't boyfriend of the year material, I don't know what is. And quite a few of the Santa Claus killings are also highly amusing. Again, the Santa Claus killed via chestnut roaster, the Santa Claus castrated in the men's room. Good stuff. If you've seen Don't Open Till Christmas, please let me know your thoughts on the film down in the comments section below. If you like this video, please leave it a thumbs up and share it on social media. If you're not following me on social media, those links are in the description. They're also right around here. As always, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Hope you guys out there are all having a great, safe, healthy, happy, and horror movie filled holiday season. Take care, and until next time, peace. Join the $1 a month club and help support my channel on Patreon. Thank you to my current patrons, Kevin Smythe, B-Movie Mike, Robert Sobel, Turi Delamore, Stephen Flanagan, Lori Holt, Craig Farrand, Farron Sutton, Jeremiah Lambert, Grindhouse Grotto, Derek Jana, Demon Waffles, Simon Clark, Stone Gassman, Zachary Barton, Lorne Dixon, James Welch, Eli Geisler, Jeff Overing, Pete Toll, Kyle McGuire, Jay the Stingray, Andrew McDonald, Dave Barnes, Jonathan Lundy, Chris Gonzalez, The R-Rated Show, Fear Fuel, Jason Breitenbach, Brandon Bisdick, Steak Sauce, Mark Striano, Jeff Gardner, Travis Davis, The Obsoletionist, Chris Earls, Kevin Fitzpatrick, Randall Beatty, Joseph Hinkle, Hey Isn't That Devon Graham, Christian Hannah Horror, and Jacob Green. Say hello to the internet, Jeremy.
Hello to the internet.